Behind every locked door lies a story the world was never meant to hear. Welcome to Behind Bars TV, where we uncover the hidden realities of the world's toughest prisons, untold inmate experiences, and the systems built to contain them. From Supermax facilities to forgotten penitentiaries, we reveal the truth behind concrete walls and razor wire. This is not fiction. This is the world behind bars, inside America's most secure prisons, where men live alone 23 hours a day. Something impossible is happening. Whole criminal empires are being run from total isolation. No phones, no meetings, no voices, and yet, orders move faster than any guard can stop them. From ADX Florence to Pelican Bay, from USP Marion to Red Onion, America's Supermax system was built to break communication. But behind those walls, inmates built a language of their own. A system of whispers, codes, and loyalty that even the FBI calls the invisible network. This isn't chaos, the narrator continues. It's organization, military-level coordination forged out of desperation and discipline. The gangs call it business. Officials call it domination. But everyone inside knows the truth. This is the silent war. A prison without words. When the Bureau of Prisons designed the modern Supermax system in the 1980s, they had one goal: total control. Inmates were locked down 23 hours a day. Every letter was read, every call monitored, every visit recorded. They believed silence would kill the gangs. They were wrong. Within months of lockdown, leaders of groups like the Aryan Brotherhood, Mexican Mafia, and Black Guerrilla Family found ways to rebuild their networks from inside isolation cells. Messages became weapons. They used chess moves, shower drain knocks, folded origami notes, and coded Bible verses. Guards called them ghost messages. A man could be locked down for life, a former warden said, and still start a riot 2,000 miles away. This was the birth of the silent war. A battle for communication, fought without speaking. The Three Kings, power from the whole. Inside every Supermax, three names carry power like presidents: the Brotherhood, the Mafia, and the Family. Together, they control more than 70% of major federal prison violence. According to DOJ reports, each gang operates like a nation-state. They have a hierarchy, taxation, diplomacy, even punishment for disobedience. When a man joins, a former inmate recalls, he swears to die before he talks. From inside ADX, Barry Mills and Tyler the Hulk Bingham of the Aryan Brotherhood ordered hits across 4 states. Their tools: a sharpened paperclip, a Bible margin, and an army that needed no meetings to obey. Bloodlines and business. Every gang behind bars follows one rule: race is law. Blacks, whites, and Hispanics each run their own empires. It's not about hate. It's about order. If you don't belong somewhere, an ex-guard says, you're in danger everywhere. The Mexican Mafia, La M, controls the drug routes from California to Arizona. The Aryan Brotherhood runs contract hits and protection rackets. The Black Guerrilla Family organizes political ideology and internal discipline. Even in isolation, they tax inmates on every pack of ramen or roll of tobacco. It's the underground IRS of prison life, enforced with blades made from light fixture metal. You can lock down a man, the narrator says, but you can't lock down a network. The codes of silence, how messages travel through concrete. The walls were built to stop sound. But even concrete has its weaknesses, and the inmates learned every one of them. In the isolation blocks, called SHUs, prisoners developed a communication system so advanced, investigators called it a language of war. Each gang had its own code system. The AB, Aryan Brotherhood, used taps and knocks, 1 tap for A, 2 for B, and so on. La M, Mexican Mafia, used kites, notes smaller than a matchbox, wrapped in plastic, smuggled through drain pipes or laundry bags. The Black Guerrilla Family used hand signals visible only through mirror reflections on polished cell windows. "You think they're sitting silent?" said a former CO. "But they're holding meetings through steel and stone." One prison captain called it the most disciplined underground communication network in America. The message might take hours or days to travel, but it always arrived. And those messages weren't gossip. They were orders. Who eats? Who pays? Who dies? Orders from the hole. In the mid-1990s, a chilling discovery proved the power of the gang's invisible communication system. Federal investigators uncovered evidence that a murder in another prison had been ordered, directly from solitary confinement. At ADX Florence, gang leaders like Barry Mills and Tyler Bingham were under permanent lockdown. No calls, no visits, no contact. And yet, 2 men hundreds of miles away were stabbed in perfect coordination. We realized they were running an entire army from their cells. An FBI agent recalled. The isolation didn't stop them. It made them smarter. The FBI dubbed the operation the Marion Protocol. Every message was passed through a chain, coded in legal mail, laundry bags, or religious texts, until it reached the target. When investigators decrypted the codes, what they found shocked even seasoned agents. Entire hit lists, smuggling routes, and internal financial ledgers, all written without ever mentioning a name. It wasn't chaos. It was organized control. Criminal command through silence. The underground economy. Every empire needs currency. And inside the walls, money isn't made of paper. In prison, value is survival. Cigarettes, ramen noodles, coffee, tuna, and stamps. Each a unit in an invisible stock market controlled by the gangs. The Mexican Mafia, for instance, takes a tax on everything sold or traded in their territory. Even legal jobs like janitors or cooks pay a percentage. Refuse, and your debt becomes blood. The system runs on trust and terror. If one man owes and can't pay, his cellmate pays, or suffers. Inmates describe it as Wall Street with shanks. Everything moves, a former inmate said. Nothing stops, not even lockdown. From the food trays to the laundry runs, every pathway is an opportunity. Contraband cell phones, drugs, blades, all flow through an economy built on fear, loyalty, and precision. And every transaction sends one message back up the chain, to the men running the show from their cages. Eyes everywhere. Prisons are built on observation, but in the silent war, the watchers are being watched. Gangs have turned surveillance against the system itself. They know the patrol patterns, the blind spots, and the shift rotations of every unit. They memorize the guards' footsteps like music, said one former warden. They track officers' personal details, car types, routines, even family names, using smuggled phones and corrupt insiders. Inside, information is power, and every guard is a potential source. A paid look, a whispered warning, or a missing report can save a life, or take one. When investigators traced one ADX gang cell, they found over 300 names of officers and families written in microscopic print on toilet paper. It wasn't a threat. It was intelligence. It's not about violence anymore. It's about control. Riots without chaos. Every riot looks like chaos from the outside. But inside, many are coordinated warfare, planned weeks in advance, with roles, timing, and targets. The Redwood Correctional Riot of 2025, like dozens before it, didn't start by accident. It started with a single coded message sent through a laundry cart. By the time guards responded, gang units had already moved in formation. Whites on one side, Hispanics on another, each protecting their territory. Prisoners call it gladiator warfare. Officials call it controlled chaos. Either way, it's the system feeding itself. "No one starts a riot without permission," said one ex-gang member. "Everything happens on command." The shadow government, power beyond the bars. Every prison has rules, but behind those rules, another government exists. Silent, invisible, and far more feared. Inmates call it the shadow. Guards call it the real system. Because in America's most secure prisons, gangs aren't just surviving, they're governing. Over decades, gangs have infiltrated the system from the inside out, recruiting low-paid staff, intimidating administrators, and exploiting every weakness in policy. They control who eats, who works, who gets medical help, and sometimes, who lives. "A warden might sign the papers," says one retired officer, "but it's the shot callers who run the yards." Even the Bureau of Prisons admits, gang hierarchies can extend to staff manipulation and infiltration. Inside these walls, control isn't maintained by strength. It's maintained by fear and favor. The business of control. The silent war isn't just about loyalty or blood. It's about business. The same gangs that fight on the streets run million-dollar operations behind the walls. Drugs, phones, synthetic tobacco, and protection taxes move like an organized supply chain. Every shipment, every debt, every punishment, calculated to the cent. "They don't call it crime," said a former gang accountant. "They call it the program." Even in isolation, top leaders approve deals through encrypted messages hidden in legal mail or religious scripture. One single order from a 7 by 12-foot cell can trigger $100,000 worth of transactions across multiple states. When you realize prison gangs are no longer just surviving, they're operating systems, you stop asking who runs the prison and start asking who runs the country's control. The law of blood, how discipline works inside. Discipline inside the gangs is absolute. There are no second chances. If you talk, steal, or disobey, the punishment is death. Inmates call it making it right. No guards, no trial, no mercy. The executioners are chosen for loyalty, not strength. The order comes quietly. Maybe a look, maybe a coded word during chow. By nightfall, the target's fate is sealed. But these hits aren't just about violence. They're about order. Gangs enforce rules where the prison can't. They stop snitches, punish thieves, and even regulate fights. "It's control through fear," says one former warden. But sometimes, it's the only control that works. Inside America's most secure prisons, the state may hold the keys, but it's the gangs who hold the code. Brains behind bars, the intelligence unit's war. To fight the silent war, prisons created their own army, the intelligence unit. They're the ones decoding letters, monitoring calls, and tracking alliances across hundreds of facilities. Every day, they intercept dozens of clean messages, Bible verses, legal motions, and poetry that hide orders for murder. "It's a chess game," said an SIS officer. "Every time we learn one code, they invent a new one." Still, for every code cracked, 3 more emerge. Every lockdown breeds another language. The war never stops. It only gets quieter. You can't kill a message that was born in silence. The human cost. Living inside the war. Behind every coded message. Behind every power play. There's a man losing himself. Most of these gang soldiers didn't start in Supermax. They were small-time hustlers, street soldiers, or kids looking for protection. Once inside, Loyalty became survival, and silence became law. They live in cells no bigger than a walk-in closet, 8 feet by 10, a concrete bed, no human touch for years. They talk to reflections. They dream in silence. And sometimes, the silence wins. Suichi. Des are common in long-term isolation. The walls listen longer than anyone else. I forgot how to hear voices, one inmate wrote. When they finally let me talk, my words came out like screams. The gangs control the system, but the system also controls the soul. The informant game. Inside the silent war, one word is more dangerous than a weapon. Snitch. Every gang has rules about loyalty. Betray it, and you're marked forever. But survival changes everything. Some inmates turn informant not for freedom, but just to live another day. They call it jumping fences. And once you jump, you never stop running. In 2018, a high-ranking Aryan Brotherhood member agreed to testify against his own crew. Within 72 hours, another inmate, hundreds of miles away, was stabbed 30 times in retaliation. The message: no one escapes the code. The gangs don't need walls, says one former agent. They just need loyalty. And fear keeps it alive. Even inside witness units, coded threats still arrive. Through ventilation ducts, commissary slips, and notes disguised as legal mail. The war doesn't stop when you talk. It just gets quieter and deadlier. How gangs outlast the system. For nearly a century, America's prisons have evolved. From the isolation of Alcatraz to the control units of Marion, from the silent cells of Pelican Bay to the high-tech isolation of ADX Florence. Every time officials invent a new way to lock men down, the gangs invent a new way to rise back up. You can change the locks. You can build thicker walls. But the most dangerous weapon in any prison is the human mind. As long as there are people, there will be power, says one former warden. And power will always find a way to speak. The future of the silent war. The next generation of Supermax prisons won't be guarded by men, but by machines. AI cameras already track micro-movements, lip patterns, and heat signatures. Digital mail filters scan handwriting for coded language. Voice recognition. AI detects tone changes that signal conspiracy. On paper, the future of prisons looks perfect. No blind spots, no mistakes, no voices unheard. But technology has never defeated human instinct. Already, investigators report inmates using artificial intelligence-generated handwriting, AI voice deepfakes, and encrypted Bluetooth devices smuggled in food shipments. The silent war isn't ending. It's upgrading. Every time we build a smarter prison, they build a smarter plan. Because control may belong to the system, but power still belongs to the people who refuse to stay silent. The final message. In America's most secure prisons, silence isn't peace. It's strategy. What you just saw is more than a story. It's a reality lived by thousands behind bars. If you believe in uncovering the truth, the kind hidden behind concrete walls and silence, then join us. Subscribe to Behind Bars TV and never miss a chapter in the world's most dangerous stories. Until next time, stay aware, stay informed, and remember, freedom and confinement are sometimes only a wall apart.